Okay, so let's continue with our session untuk hari ini. Okay, for your information, I already uploaded the discussion on this chapter. So the whole chapter 5 Bivariate analysis, whereby we have looked through the in terms of the learning objective. So we have gone through the scatter plot, draw the scatter plot, compute the correlation coefficient, and compute the equation for the regression line, compute the equation of determination, and make prediction for a given value of a predictor variable. Okay, so this is one of the videos. So there are other two videos yang mana I've just uploaded just now. So because that one is just recorded these two for the two classes this morning. So that is also in terms of the discussion on the past semester exam papers. So you can look through that one also, just to give you some ideas on the discussion and how to solve the problem. And for this class also, we're going to do the same thing but with different question papers, right? Okay, more information on this part for the manual calculation can also be found in other course YouTube video. Okay, so if you want to check on the other playlist, so you can just go to my YouTube channel, and under my YouTube channel there's one playlist called Easy Stat. So if you go to the Easy Stat playlist, okay, if you go to the Easy Stat playlist, you can see that there are some other information that you can see in the form of discussion on correlation. For example, video number 9 here. So if you see video number 9, this is correlation and simple linear regression using Casio scientific calculator for 3 type of scientific calculator. So if you want to use the to calculate the correlation and regression analysis manually using your calculator, your scientific calculator, you can just watch this video and see the procedure step by step and how to answer the questions. Okay, so this is one, number 9. Okay, so number 9, and then the other one is video number 12. So this one is a revision on the diploma questions for topic of correlation and regression, chapter question number 5. So this is under correlation and regression analysis, and this one is for diploma. So for diploma, they don't have the output, so they didn't interpret SPSS output in their syllabus. Okay, dalam syllabus yang tak ada benda tu, so dia orang semua kira secara manual, interpretation manually. So you can also go through the video number 12 for this for the past semester exam purpose for the diploma level. And there's also a discussion on the presentation for correlation and regression in for the diploma. So this one adalah lebih kepada manual calculation and all the details. So you can go through video number 15 and also number 16. So altogether there are 4 videos that you can watch in order to get more understanding in terms of the topics, right? So video number 9 for calculation using scientific calculator, and then you have video number 12 for the discussion on the past semester exam papers, and then video number 15 and 16 for the lecture series. Okay, so that are the video that you can watch in order to get more understanding on these topics. Okay, there. So yang ni you boleh tengok lah. So this one is basically same as what you have in your textbook. Okay, so any questions so far? Tak ada. Okay, kalau tak ada, saya boleh tutupkan. Tak ada. Okay, next let's go to our session for today. So what we're going to do today is to look at the past semester exam papers, and I will discuss to you. I will discuss and I will explain how are you going to solve the problems and what are the information that available in the question itself that you can get and help you answer all the questions, right? So this is December 2016, question number 7. Okay, let's see the question. What does it say over here? In this case, it says here the manager of Putri Hotel interested. Okay, Putri Hotel is interested to assess the impact of advertising by looking at the monthly advertising cost RM1000 and the monthly income RM millions for 7 consecutive months. The data was recorded and analyzed using SPSS. The results are as follow. So you have the monthly advertising cost in RM1000 and monthly income in RM millions. Okay, so you have the set of data and then they give you the coefficient result from the SPSS. Okay, they give you the coefficient result from the SPSS. Right, so the information is already everything is in there, so you just need to know how to read this information and use it to answer your questions. Okay, the questions. All right. Okay, so before we go further on discussing the output and also the question and solving the problems and the questions, right? So the first thing that I want to tell you is to some cautions, okay, some preliminary cautions in terms of the data set itself. So if you look through the data set, it gives you in the form of a simplified version. Okay, the data is in the form of simplified version. Apa yang maksudkan dengan simplified version ni kat sini? Because the value that is presented in front of you, okay, nilai yang dipersembahkan di depan anda adalah nilai yang telah dipermudahkan bentuknya. Okay, bentuknya di new format. So the actual value, for example, in this case, the 60,000 over here. Okay, kalau tengok yang 60,000 ni, the actual value is actually berapa sebenarnya? So kalau yang 60,000 ni, this is actually the value is actually equal to not 60 but 60,000. So in this case, this is actually 60,000, right? So this is actually 60,000 in RM. So it is simplified as 60 only. Okay, this is very important because later on you will see whether in the last question, normally in the last question where you have to predict, they give you a value of X and then you need to substitute the value of X in an equation. And you need to be very, very careful in terms of what value you want to substitute in the equation. So are you going to substitute 60,000 or just 60? So you have to be very careful in this sense. Similarly for the second one, kalau you tengok yang kat bawah ni 7 ni, so this is not 7 only, but this means this is actually 7 million. So 7,000,000,000. So this is the actual data. So the actual data has been simplified into a value that is easier for you to calculate. Of course, kalau tengok yang ada banyak kosong ni, lagi susah lah kan? Okay. Okay, so that is the situation. So this is the things that you have to be aware whenever you are given a data set, something like this. Okay, in regression analysis, in correlation, so basically when we talk about correlation, we are looking at the relationship between two or more variables. Okay, but in our situation, we are only dealing with one variable at a time. Two variables at a time. So that's why the chapter title is called Bivariate analysis. Bivariate means two variable. Bi is two. Okay, so two variables. So that's why we call this as bivariate. We are only dealing with two variables at a time. And these variables are what we call as the independent and dependent variables. Okay, independent and dependent variables. There are some other names that being used to replace the word, the term independent and dependent variable. For independent variable, there are terms, other terms that being used. For example, the predictor variables, okay, or maybe they call it as exogenous variable, or maybe they call it as the input variables or explanatory variables. So these are the terms that being used to identify it as an independent variable. Okay, and similarly for the dependent variable, you can also have other terms. For example, some people will use the terms endogenous variable for dependent variable. Some will be using the response variable. Okay, some of them also use the term outcome variable to represent the dependent variable. So there are many ways of many terms that can be used to identify it is independent or dependent variables. So you kena pastikan lah, kita tengok betul-betul Alright. So in correlation, normally it is not important for us to identify whether which variable is independent, which variable is dependent. Because dalam korelasi analisis korelasi, kita hanya perlu tentukan bahawa terdapat perkaitan ataupun tidak. Kita tidak melihat dia mempengaruhi ataupun tidak. But since the data being used for correlation will also be used for the regression analysis in our scope over here. So for example, in this case, kita boleh gunakan data yang sama ni untuk korelasi dan juga untuk regresi. It is wise for us to identify the dependent and independent in the first place. Okay, di awal So kena identify sebab apa? Sebab independent dengan dependent variable is important in the regression analysis. You need to specify which one is the independent and which one is the dependent variable in regression analysis. Okay. Alright. So let's continue with our session. So that is just some preliminary information regarding correlation analysis and regression analysis. So in front of you, you have the data given, and then you also have the coefficient output from the SPSS analysis. Okay, analysis done by SPSS. And this coefficient output give you the information on the unstandardized coefficient and the standardized coefficient beta. Okay, and then you have the t statistic and also the significant value. Okay, the p value. Right. In order to see whether one variable affect the other variable significantly or not, it is significant to be influence the other one. You look at the significant value and see whether the value for the significant value, the p value, is it less than 0.05 or not for the variable. We do not look at the constant. So kita constant, kita ignore je dulu Right. So in this situation, you can see that advertising cost is having the p value to be 0.001, which is less than 0.05. So that means you can say that the advertising cost is influencing the variation in the monthly income. Okay. So in terms of identifying the independent and dependent variable is already shown in the coefficient output. Okay. So dalam coefficient output, dia ada kat bawah tu, the footnote, there is a footnote saying that the dependent variable is monthly income. So you already know that the dependent variable is monthly income. Okay. Meanwhile, the independent variable will be the advertising cost. If the footnote is not there, dia tak nyatakan kat bawah tu dependent variable dia apa kat situ, you already also know that the independent variable is in the model itself. So whatever that is stated in the model under the constant, that is the independent variable X. Okay. Yang tu kita tahu. Ataupun one more thing that you want to identify the another way to identify the independent and dependent variable is by looking at the last question where it states estimate. So it says estimate the monthly income. Whatever that you want to estimate will be the dependent variable Y. And whatever information that is given, that will be the independent variable X. So in this case, the given information 90,000 is for monthly advertising cost. So that means advertising cost is the independent variable because it is given values. Alright. So the one that you want to estimate will be the dependent variable. So that is how you identify the independent and independent variable. One is through the output. The other one is through the question, the last question, estimate, predict, approximate, or whatever term they are using. Maybe they are using forecast. So sama juga So that is another way to look at the to identify the independent and the dependent variables. Okay, boleh so far? Boleh Okay. Next, what we need to do is the first question asks you to show that the Pearson correlation coefficient is 0.955. So it's already given that the correlation coefficient is equal to 0.955. Okay, the correlation coefficient is the same as the standardized coefficient beta if you are dealing with the simple linear regression, which means that you are only having one independent variable and one dependent variable. So the value in the standardized coefficient beta here is the same as the correlation value R. Sama je So dia akan jadi sama kat situ. Alright. So they ask you to show so dia nak suruh show, that means you have to show the working progress in term ataupun the working solution until you reach the value to be equal to 0.955. So that means in this case you have to calculate the value manually. So in order to calculate the value manually, you need the summation value of each of the variable. So dalam formula dia ada kat situ So dalam kat sini kalau untuk dapatkan dia punya Pearson correlation coefficient, so in the exam they give you the formula. So kau tengok dekat akhir sekali, dia ada formula untuk dapatkan Pearson correlation coefficient So they give you the formula. Mana ni formula? Okay, this one So this is the formula. So the linear regression correlation coefficient is given by R, whereby R is simply equal to SSXX, SSXY. So this is the formula. So what is the value of SSXY, SSXX dengan SSYY? So in this situation, they give you the formula to be okay, there is a formula untuk dapatkan. For example, untuk SSXY ni so kalau tengok balik dalam you punya nota, dia akan bagi adalah formula dia. So this is just simply equal to, so kalau SSXY, so this is just simply equal to the summation of XY minus the summation of X, summation of Y, and then divided by N, right? And then for summation of XX, you know that this one is summation of X square minus summation of X square divided by N, right? And then summation of Y, and this is given by summation of Y squared minus summation of Y square divided by N. So this is the formula, right? So you have to know this formula. So it's given, dah bagi kat atas tu, yang aku tulis buat apa? Okay, so dah bagi kat atas tu kan. Penat je aku tulis. Okay, so you already have that one So padam lah. Apa nak tulis Kadang-kadang saya ni bukan tengok appendix tu tak tengok appendix lah sebab saya tak ambil exam kan. Yang ambil exam ni you all, so you all akan tengok lah appendix tu. Tapi kalau online ni dia tak tengok dah appendix, dia tengok buku terus kan. Dia tengok buku terus walaupun tak boleh tengok buku. Alright, so that is the formula. So this is the formula. So that means in this case, untuk dapatkan dia punya nilai R kat sini, you need to find the value of summation of X, summation of Y, summation of XY, and then get the summation of X squared dengan Y squared, then dapatkan dia punya summation. So let's see how we can do this for this particular questions. Okay, so kita nak buatkan yang ni Okay, so you have this data set. So this will be your data set. So saya akan tunjukkan macam mana nak buatkan dia ni. So summation of X senang saja because this one is X, this one is Y. You already know that the dependent variable is X. The dependent variable is Y. So in this case, the dependent variable is monthly income. So this will be the Y and this one will be the X. Okay. Alright. So in this situation, you have the X over here. Okay, suppose you have the X and then you have the Y variable. So let's just write down the x and y variable. So the x will be 60, 100, 50, and then 150, and then you have 30, and then you have 20 and 40, right? And then for the y, you have here to be 5, 3, 6, 5, 3, 6, 20, 4, 10, 7, 4, 10, 7. Okay, so this is the data that you have. So let's get this one. Okay, semua dah nampak Okay, so here you will have the x square. So kita akan dapatkan x times x. So this is x times x. So you akan dapat x square. This one will be y times y. So you get y squared. And this one will be x times y. Okay, so when you time this one, so what you need to do is just simply equal this one and then multiply with this one again. Okay, x times x, ataupun kita buat kuasa 2 pun boleh. So this one, this is what you get. And then the second one is just simply equal to y times y to get the y squared. So equal. And then finally you have equal to x times y. So equal. Right? So this is the value that you have. And then here you want the summation to get the summation of everything. So equals. Alright, so bolehlah. Okay, 450 Okay, kau tengok ni. So this is the summation. Okay, betul Okay, so all this okay, sudah. Sorry, this one is not the one. Equal sum. Ya. Okay, so this is the value that you have for all the summation. So this will be the summation of x, summation of y, summation of xx, summation of yy, and summation of xy. Okay, so you have here, this is summation of s of x. So this will be s of y. So this will be s of xx. This is s of yy. And finally s of xy. Okay. Right. Okay. So this is the value. So you can just copy this one. Let me just copy this one. Control C and then saya masukkan dalam saya punya ni lah. Okay, so that means to obtain this value, so you need to get the summation value. So you have the summation value already. So in this case, this is just simply the summation value. Okay, so you have this thing. Okay, so you have all this. Pasal apa dia lari? Yeah. Okay, so this is the summation value. So with this summation value, you can use the Pearson. So kat sini you boleh dapatkanlah dia punya summation of xx. So you can get the SSXX equal to what? And then you can also find SSYY equal to what? And then finally you have SSXY. Okay, calculate this one. Let me just calculate this one very fast using the calculator. Ataupun boleh gunakan kat situ je, tak ada masalah. Okay, saya gunakan calculator mudah ya. Okay, you want the summation, sum of square SX. So that means you punya formula the summation of x square minus summation of x square divided by n. So n here is equal to 7. So in this case you have 41500 minus, and then you punya summation of x is 450 square and then divided by 7. So you get this to be equal to 12571 571.42857 42857. Okay, so that is for the first one. And then for sum of squared yy, so you take the sum of syy minus sy squared divided by 7. So syy is 635. So 635 minus yy will be 50. Y is 55. So 55 square divided by 7. So you get this to be there. Okay, you get 202.857 1429. Okay, so that is for the second one. And then the third one for xy, so 5060 minus 450 times 55 divided by 7. So you get 1524. Okay, 1524.285.285714. Okay, so that is the value of SXXX and so on. So in this question right now, so you can find the value of R. So here you can find R. So the coefficient dimension is R is equal to SSXY divided by the square root SQRT SSXX multiply with SSYY. Okay, so in this case the value will be, you ada kat situ nilai dia YY, so 1524.285 714, and then divide by the square root of whatever the value is, 12571.42857 and then multiply with 202.857 1429. Okay, tutup dengan. Okay, so this is what you have, right? Okay, so jawapan yang you akan dapat kat sini adalah bersamaan juga dengan, so bila you kira ni you akan dapat jawapan dia lah. So let's just calculate this one, 15271, and then divided by the square root of kurungan 12571. 12571 sepatutnya dapat nilai yang sama 0.42857 multiply with 202.857 1429. Okay, bila kira ni you akan dapat 0.9545, sama macam kita nak kan so you should get this one to be 0.9545. Okay, so that is the value that you will receive. Okay, you akan dapat nilai ni lah. So this is the value that you receive. Okay, you get for this one. Okay, so that is the proof. So show that the Pearson correlation coefficient is 0.955. So 955 again. And then explain the value obtained. So in this case, the value is very close to 1. So that means there are very strong relationship between the two variables. And then the value is positive. So that means positive linear relationship. So how are you going to explain? So in this case, you can just say that. Okay, sorry. Saya tapak bawah. Kita naikkan ke atas sikit. Okay, so kita explain sikit. So you can say that there exists a very strong positive linear relationship between the two variables. Okay, between the two variables ni you boleh tukar lah, the two variable ni boleh tukar dengan dia punya actual variables kalau nak so you can just say there exists a very strong positive linear relationship between advertising cost and monthly income. Boleh juga so that is for the first question. And then for the second question, they ask you to calculate the coefficient of determination and interpret the value obtained. So to calculate the coefficient of determination, so coefficient of determination is actually the value of R square. So R square is just simply, you simplify as you just square the value of R, the correlation value. So in this case, you are looking for the value of R square. Okay, you nakkan nilai R square. So what you need to do is just simply find the R square. Okay, R square is just you square the value of R. So here the value of R is 0.955, right? So and then you square this value. So kuasa 2 kan. Okay, kuasa 2 kan ataupun kali dengan diri sendiri lah So you kuasa 2 kan, you get this one to be 0.955 square. So you get to be 0.912 0.912, 3 digit. Okay, kita ambil 3 digit Alright, so how to explain this value? Okay, bila you nak explain, whenever you want to interpret, whenever you want to explain the value of R square, okay, the value must be changed into percentage. Okay, the value must be changed into percentage for explanation, for interpretation. So 0.912 is equivalent to 91.2%. So what you can say here is that 91.2%. So the coefficient of determination is actually measure the variation explained in the variable y that can be explained by the variable x. So in this situation, the coefficient of determination measure the percentage variation in y that can be explained by the independent variable x. So the same thing goes for the interpretation. So what is the percentage? The percentage is 91.2%. 91.2% of what? So 91.2% of the variation in y. What is y here? So y here is monthly income. Okay, monthly income can be explained by the variation in x. So what is x over here? So x is advertising cost. Okay, advertising cost. Okay, 91.2% of the variation in y, the monthly income, can be explained by the advertising cost. Right? So that is the explanation. Boleh? So you boleh tukar lah. So in general, you can just say the percentage of the variation in y can be explained by the variation in x. Alright? So that is for the second part. The third part asks you to write down the estimated regression equation. So the estimated regression equation can be created from the unstandardized coefficient value of b. So the unstandardized coefficient value of b is the coefficient in the regression equation. So in general, you can write the regression equation as y equal to a plus bx. Okay, so this is in general form. And in this situation, the value of a here is the constant value in the coefficient table. So this will be 0.0625. Meanwhile, the b, or sometimes we call this as the slope coefficient. Okay, the slope coefficient. This is given by the value of b under the advertising cost row. Okay, under the independent variable row. So this is 0.121. So that means in this case, if you want to write the equation, it will be y is equal to 0.0625 and then plus y plus, because b value is positive, so plus. If the b value is negative, then minus, right? 0.121x. Okay, so that is the regression equation. Or you can write this in the specific form whereby you use the variable. You can just say that advertising cost, monthly income is equal to 0.0625 plus 0.121 advertising cost. Okay, so boleh juga tulis macam tu So you can just say monthly income equal to 0.0625 plus 0.121 advertising cost. Multiply with advertising cost. So this is the estimated regression equation. Okay. Dapat And then the next part is to explain atau interpret the value of the slope coefficient. The slope coefficient is given by the value b in the output and also the value b in the equation. So here you have the value B in the equation is 0.121. Okay. Here it says here interpret the slope in the context of the problem. So that means you have to come goes back to the data, the nature of the data. In this case, the context of the problem is term of monthly advertising cost in thousand and monthly income in millions. Okay. So macam mana kita nak nyatakan kat sini? So what you can say here, so since this one, let's say the value of B. So B is equal to, in this case, B is equal to 0.121. So macam mana kita nak explain? Okay, how are we going to explain this value? So what you can say here in this situation, you start with the value of B, or in this case, we start with the increment of the independent variable. So independent variable dia adalah advertising cost kan. So what you can say is for each additional increase increase in X. So what is X here? Increase in advertising cost okay, ataupun kita nak letakkan nyata tu sama ada letak kat belakang dia punya nilai ataupun letak kat depan boleh. So for each additional increase of RM1 in advertising cost, then you can say that the dependent variable. So what is the dependent variable? The monthly income. So the monthly income will increase. Okay, why will increase? Because the value of B is positive. If the value of B is negative, then you have to say will decrease. But this one, the value of B is positive, so will increase. Will increase by the B unit. So B is what? 0.121. So you can say will be increased by RM 0.121. Okay, so that is for the explanation. Okay, boleh So this is for the explanation. Or you can also explain in the form of its context in original context. Yang ni kita gunakan yang short form. So RM1 dengan 0.121 ringgit. Tapi kalau kita gunakan dalam konteks yang sebenar, so what it will be is that, okay, kita akan tulis kat sini. Saya akan tulis warna hijau kat sini. Again, saya gunakan perkataan yang sama juga. Cuma saya ubah dia punya nilai. So for each increase of, okay, tengok unit dia apa? Unit untuk advertising cost adalah 1000, right? For each additional increase of RM 1000, RM 1000 in advertising cost, the monthly income will increase by, so sekarang ni 0.121 ni kita nak ubah ke dalam bentuk dia punya RM million. So RM million. So 121 ubah kepada RM million, nak gerakkan dia 6 titik perpuluhan ke belakang. So that means 1, 2, 3 and then tambah lagi 3 kosong kat belakang. So you akan dapat RM 121,000. Okay, so this is what you have, right? Okay, this is another way to explain the value of the slope. Okay, ada dua keadaan kat sini. So one is by using the simplified unit, and then the other one is by using the actual unit. So kita ubah ikut. So kalau yang ni RM1, sebab dia punya actual unit is in thousand, it will be 1000. If this one is 0.121 and the actual unit is in million, so you convert this into million. So 0.121 is equivalent to 121,000. Okay, boleh juga. Okay, so this one is in million, 0.121 million. This one is in thousand. So kalau tukar pada thousand, tukar balik lah. Alright, so that is for question D. And then for the last question, they ask you to estimate the monthly income RM millions if the monthly advertising cost is 90,000. So this is where you have to be very careful. The given information here is 90,000, but in the data, it is given in a simplified form. The advertising cost is given by the simplified form in thousand. So 60 means 60,000. So that means if you want to substitute the value of X, in this case, the 90,000, the X value is actually 90, not 90,000. So here you have X is equal to 90, not 90,000. Okay, so X is equal to 90. So when X is equal to 90, then you can substitute the value. So you have here Y is equal to 0.0625 plus 0.121 and then multiply with 90. Okay, you get this to be, so if you calculate this one, 0.0625, sorry, 0.0625, 0.0625 and then plus 0.121 multiply with 90. So you get 109525. So you get here 10.9525, and this is in million, right? So RM millions. Okay, or this is also equivalent to, so you tukar kepada million tu, so you gerakkan 6 titik ke sebelah kanan. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 500 belakang. So you get RM 10,952,500. Okay, so that will be the solution. Okay, any questions so far? Yeah, betul. So as long as you put it in the context of the problem. So bila kata dalam context of the problem ni, maknanya adalah you have to put it in the form of, kalau macam ni, kalau katakan increase ni, so this is 0.121 ni, so it is assumed that you already know that this is in million. Okay, so this is in million. Kalau katakan nak lebih jelas sekali, RM1 ni, okay, dia punya konteks problem ni maknanya jangan letak for each additional increase of 1 unit in Y, in X, Y will increase by B unit. Yang tu dalam bentuk, bukan dalam bentuk konteks. So dia tak nak dalam bentuk X dengan Y. So dia nak you nyatakan X tu apa dia, Y tu apa dia. So you can choose this one dalam bentuk yang simplified ataupun you boleh bentuk dalam bentuk yang actual. So dua-dua betul. Okay. So either one lah. So nak tak kalau rasa was-was nak tak dua-dua pun letaklah dua-dua, tak ada masalah. Okay. So tapi salah satulah yang sebenarnya salah satu. Okay, yang sebenarnya salah satu, tapi kalau rasa was-was, betul ke tulis ni macam ni kan. So you boleh letak je dua-dua sebab dua-dua tu memberi makna yang sama. Okay. Any other questions? Tak ada Boleh faham Ya saya. Okay, you tengok last question ataupun tengok kalau ada output ni. Okay, whatever yang ada dalam output ni. Okay, this part So macam ni, dalam model ni dia ada constant, bawah constant tu ada advertising cost kan. Whatever under the advertising, under the constant value ni, this is the independent variable. Okay, kadang-kadang dia tak bagi yang ni, dia tak bagi yang A dependent variable equal to what kan dalam exam. It doesn't show this one. Memang dalam output memang ada. So kalau dia ambil semua, kalau ada setengah-setengah tu dia tak tulis yang ni, dependent variable equal to monthly income, dia tak tulis. Okay. So in order to know which one is the independent variable, you tengok dalam model coefficient ni, kalau ada model table coefficient ni. So whatever variable bawah constant ni, this is the independent variable. So maknanya ada satu lagi tu adalah dependent variable. Kalau kat situ pun tak ada, tengok soalan last kali. So kalau soalan last kali ni, estimate, predict, forecast, approximate. So these are the terms yang digunakan untuk buat prediction So apa yang you nak predict? So in this case you want to estimate monthly income. So monthly income will be the dependent variable. And the given information sini yang dibagi nilai adalah 90,000 ni adalah advertising cost. So advertising cost will be the independent variable. So the given information is the independent variable. The one that you want to find, you want to predict, you want to estimate, you want to approximate will be the dependent variable. Is it clear? Alright, okay. Boleh So that is it for the discussion on on the last chapter in our syllabus, that is chapter 5, Bivariate analysis.